Welcome to the O Brother Podcast with hosts Dan and Mike Smith, brothers from the same mother with different opinions on movies, TV, video games, and more, plus celebrity interviews. Get ready, get set. It's time for the O Brother Podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, director Kevin Lewis.
And he's there.
Wow, Kevin.
That's like DEFCON 4 alert.
Oh my God. I mean, it was like we were in serious crisis mode there. Oh my God. Mike's like, did he just move on to the next one? Because I mean, oh my God.
Oh, never.
Totally appreciate it. Kevin, I mean, we had this whole, you can't understand what's been going on. Before you got in, Mike is actually gazing into hell right now himself because he's dealing with a kidney stone as we speak.
Man. Oh,
So
geez.
just before you came on the first time, I left to go into the bathroom to try to get the stone. So I thought I was late. I come back and I see you, but there was some technical glitch. So, but we're all here now.
Yeah.
That's all it matters. You know, we were talking last night because yesterday, we had the good fortune to speak with you and some of the cast from the Accursed. And we were wondering, and now I see, is it Indiana Jones? Are those two Indiana Jones posters?
Yeah. The Temple of Doom and Raiders, you know.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it. I've got Blade Runner. It's good. So we got Blade Runner and Army of Darkness.
Oh, yes.
The Army of Darkness is really cool because I met Sam Raimi when I came out here when I was in college, and he signed it. And he said, Kevin, looking for your name on the big screen, keep them rolling, Sam Raimi. And then Bruce signed it and said, Kevin, ignore what this guy says above it. So
so are we going to be able to get you to sign the Accursed poster?
yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right.
We'll get it up here.
Yeah. So
they're
Go ahead, Mike.
such good friends, Bruce and Sam. I mean, Bruce has been in every Sam Raimi movie, hasn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So and he's usually hysterical.
He's great.
Yeah.
You are, this is the third time now we've gotten to chat with you. So, you know, we got to talk to you last March, I think it was, promoting Willy's Wonderland. And I was looking back at your resume. It had been like 14 years, right? Since you had done The Third Nail.
Yep.
And then it was Willy's. And now you're on this
you've got
trajectory that is crazy.
Yeah.
With all of these, you know, we'll get to some of that other stuff, but so the Accursed, you know, Kevin, I gotta say, like, the look of this film is unreal. Like, you have this unbelievable style. Like this is one of those films where, and the same with Willy's, really, it's one of those where like every shot is a photograph, like is a still, the composition, and I loved it. And, you know, we talked yesterday about an homage to the 70s and that kind of style, you know, the style. And as I was watching it, because I watched it again.
Okay.
And Carrie, A Quiet Place, Alien, Psycho. Yeah. And we were talking about Louise Fletcher, too, who we just lost because the Nurse Ratched references with Mena's character as Alma. And I was thinking of Flowers in the Attic. Do you remember that movie from the 80s?
Yes, I do. And the novel.
That's right. So it's got just so many flavors to it. I just think you really nailed it. If, you know, again, I read that that's kind of what you were aiming for, and, you know, hats off, because you really achieved it.
Thank you. That's awesome. You watched it again. My DP, Dave Newbert, shot Willy's, and he shot this, and we wanted a look for this as kind of a rich and creamy and old school, but contemporary, and making it look like it was shot on 35 millimeter, you know? And so we use these Alexa LF, the large format, and we use these wide lenses, these beautiful lenses that were just great, because we built the cabin, but wanted to make it big and massive. And it wasn't this small thing. So we built the cabin in a gym.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a elementary school, and they sold it off to a church, and the church during COVID was having sermons outside. And so we went in the gym on the inside and built the cabin. Burns, my production designer, did that, and he did a fantastic job. And so we shot a practical for the exterior of the cabin, but everything for that cabin is a built set.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that. And you mentioned David Newbert, your DP, and it seems like you've got this kind of band of thieves, for lack of a better term, but this group that you continue to collaborate with, and even is it David Liebert? Am I saying that right? Is that, or no, Ryan?
Ryan Liebert, he's the
Ryan
editor.
Liebert, sorry, yeah.
Yep,
You
he's the
worked
editor.
with him on Willy's too, right?
Yes, yeah, and I worked
Okay.
with him. Yeah, Ryan's awesome, and so we get along really well. And and then Émoi, who did the score for Willy's and was the voice of Willy's, he did the score, and he did the "You Are My Baby Girl" song and the other song on the record. So he's great. So yeah, Band of Thieves is an awesome. I like that. I think that's cool.
I was going to ask you
and
that.
if you go to, is it at Kevin Lewis on Instagram? Your Instagram handle?
Yeah, I think it's Kevin Lewis Official, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
If you go there and look at the photos, there's a great photo of the five of you just looking at the action. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that, Émoi. That's how you say that, huh?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. He actually following us on Twitter now. So it's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's cool,
yeah.
you know.
That's
And
great.
you're right. The music, that can be such a key for this genre too. And
Mhm.
that was really striking as well. Sarah Dumont, who, we didn't get a chance to talk to, during our time with you yesterday, but can you talk a little bit about working with her? Because she has, obviously a prominent role in the film too.
Oh yeah, Sarah was awesome. She's so natural, and we would take the dialogue and then she would kind of spin it in a way. And she's just, when her and Sarah Gray were talking, you would pick up the mic and the earphones, you listen, you'd think they were just having a conversation. Like they were just so natural together, and they became really good friends. She was a trooper. I mean, anything I needed, it's like, hey, can you come in? I just need this one shot. Fine, I'm there. Like, just yeah, I just love Sarah. She's great.
This was a really bright cast. I mean, intelligence wise. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
must have made your life, given you had 18 days to shoot it,
Yeah.
that must have meant, an easier,
Mhm.
no, it's never easy, but an easier ride for you.
Well, Dustin Blackburn was our casting director, and he just did a fantastic job. And it was great working with him. I worked with him on Oak as well. And we just assembled a good cast. The producers and I, we just really got the script out to these actors, and I'm so glad they said yes, and hit it off with them. And we all got the same themes and what we were doing with the movie. And it was just such a pleasure to work with everybody. So, yeah.
And and they were, again, we talked about this when we met with you in the cast, but none of them are strangers to the genre too. So they all had that in common. You mentioned Oak. So that's a film that's in post-production now?
Yep. Yeah, I just finished that. I'm cutting it right now. I'm working on post on sound and everything. So that's a movie, kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street meets It Follows. It's got more of a Stranger Things vibe. It's funny because I was thinking about that today. Willy's, The Accursed, and Oak, they still kind of have a vintage call in their DNA. Not that they take place in the 80s or the 70s, but I was just thinking that we were really affected, right, with our childhood and the things that we grew up with. And of course, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So it's just kind of in my DNA, but I'm pretty excited about Oak. So.
Yeah. So you must have been you've just been working nonstop, because there's a couple of others in the pipeline, aren't there, at various stages?
Yeah. I've got a bunch of projects, and as you guys, with movies, it's like everything there's a lot of moving parts and things just have to click in. But I'm hoping that I have a movie going beginning of January 2023. And working on that. I've got a really cool script called The Houdini Pact that's kind of in the vibe of The Haunting of Hill House, and then I co-wrote that with my friend Michael Bondi's, and then I've got a sci-fi script that I adore. That's great. Working on that. I've got another movie that's in the vein of a Willy's, it's just bonkers, off the wall, really cool. So all these movies I've been working on and just trying to figure out which I want to do next and what lines up with everything. So, but then I've just been, finished with the Accursed and Oak. So I'm just kind of, it's like, running a marathon, and it's like you're catching your breath, but it's like, I loved it. I want to do it again, but maybe just not right this moment.
Right.
Right.
Take a little break. How was was yesterday the only press day you had? But it was a
I did some press, long day yesterday.
long day.
I did some press the day before, and then yesterday was the long day, and then today, and I got some more next week. So, it's really exciting because I just finished the Accursed, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's the reception going to be? And so far, people are really digging it. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah,
it's tough. You make a movie, you make it for an audience, but you just don't know. And it's like at the end of the day, you do everything you can, and
Right.
every film, it's like, and the critics, they just rail on movies. And it's like, man, no one sets out to make a bad movie.
Right.
There's a crew behind this, and everybody sets out to make something really special. And getting anything made is just hard and it's an achievement these days. So, when you actually do something good, it's like, wow, that's even really, hats off, but
right.
movie making is just, if you care about it, which I do, it takes a piece of your soul. It really does,
Yeah.
and it's not something you just slapdash and put out. You've got to really think about it. And the moving pictures and what we see, I'm asking you guys, to watch this movie. I'm asking you for 90 minutes of your time, right? And it's like, or 100 minutes, and it's like, that's a big ask. It's like when you write a script to someone, it's like you have a friend write it, and it's like, you might as well ask them, to help you move, because it's like the same thing, right? It's like, okay, so you gotta really be certain, like, this is something that you're proud of, you put your name on and everything. So it's really cool that it's getting some good responses out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like that with any art. I mean, it's a really vulnerable position to be in.
And you mentioned
podcasts, the
right.
podcasts,
Yeah, sure.
Podcasts, I mean, it's just, it's funny. It's like the older we get, the less time we have, and you think of the digital age, you would have more time because you can have Amazon to your door and do all this stuff, but it feels like it's just more complicated for some reason, so.
Well, it's interesting too with that. The same goes with critiques, with social media now. Not only does everybody have an opinion, but they can put it out to the world in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, that adds a whole nother vibe to the.
And it's a shame that, like some of the actors will go on Twitter and they'll read these comments, and people don't realize, like you said, how many people, we make it a point to sit through the credits of every movie we watch, whether we're in the theater or at home. And you see all these people that worked on the project, and then you get these, people on Twitter that want to hate on it. It's like, come on, man,
Yeah, it's
just
a labor of
waiting
love.
to. It's like they're just waiting to hate on it. Like they just can't, it's funny. A friend of mine, he's put together a film channel on Plex. And he has all the Siskel and Ebert, the old school,
Oh, right, right.
Stuff. Yeah, I love those. Those are great. But those just showed, at least, okay, well, you didn't like the movie, but they told you about it, right? They said why they didn't like it and stuff. People just say, oh, this sucks or whatever. And it's like, man, can you just be a little more elaborate? It's like, okay, let's have a conversation about it, but there's just so many, I call it empty calories, I think, because there's just so much content out there now.
I love that.
Right? And to have something to really last and stick with you is really something. That's why I was really happy with Willy's, because I just feel like Willy's is still going. It's going strong. And that's just awesome,
Yeah, I was wondering if the janitor was going to make a return, or
we did ask you that the first time around.
Yeah. And what a lead in that was for him. He did the pig, which was great. And he did the movie where he kind of made fun of himself, but it really wasn't him, if you know him.
Yeah.
And you know, I think
Yeah.
there was a trilogy there, starting with Willy's, you know.
You really
Yeah.
launched his career, Kevin.
No, Nick is. I'm so happy that he's like way on top now, and I just couldn't be happier. He's such an awesome guy, you know.
Yeah.
Now, did you collaborate at all with it was Rob Kennedy, right? That wrote this?
Yeah, Rob Kennedy wrote the script, and what a fantastic writer, and we hit it off really well. And when I read it, I read that first 7 pages, and I was like, man, this is a narrative unto itself. It's its own little short film, So I was really excited about that. And Rob was just great. In this, when I got the script, the mom was more of the voice. You heard her. You didn't really see her. And I was just thinking, we're in show don't tell mode with making movies. It's all visual, so it's like it'd be good to see the mom. I think that's a little more effective. So we changed that, and we added some things here, and there were some things I was like, I know I can't do on this amount of time, shooting wise. But the great thing is he was such an awesome collaborator, and he just took to it, and we worked together, and just it was such a pleasure to work with him.
Now the 18 days, that was your shooting schedule, right? Then how about the effects? How long did it take to get those effects in? Because there was some pretty good stuff there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we worked with a great company called Entropic. They
Yes.
did they did the visual effects, they did the post, they did the opening title credit sequence.
That is fantastic, Kevin. That opening sequence.
Is it killer?
It's so cool with the knife blade and the blood vial. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's very classic.
I've been wanting to do an opening title sequence or an ending title sequence for so long. And then for Willy's, I want to do this whole thing where you go in, like if it was the ending title sequences, you follow the pinball and you go through, and the pinball is directing you to all the different rooms, and then you go like swirl around Gus the gorilla and all that stuff. I've been wanting to do that thing, man. So it was so cool to get something done like this because to me, titles matter, right? It's part of the movie. It's part of the experience. Like you guys were saying, the end credits matter, We've got a great Nick Cave song at the end of this movie, the only source song out there, a track that Émoi didn't do. And it's Lover Man. And it's just, if you listen to the lyrics of Lover Man, I'm a huge Nick Cave fan. And if you listen to the lyrics of Lover Man, it's like, it tells you the movie about the demon and it's just great, and that you can listen to that song as you watch the credits, and it really kind of, to me, drives the movie home even more. So everything's part of the experience, on making film. So I'm really glad you like the credit sequence. So we did practical and VFX, and we built the demon. Cinema Makeup School did all the demon effects, the demon costume. Troy James was the demon. He's a contortionist, amazing.
Oh yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, right. That's all real, man. And you could hear his bones crack as he's moving and everything. I mean, it was something else. But we built that, and then we kind of augmented the demon with like the flies. That was all VFX, of course. So it was a good mix and match. I like about, with me, like we talk about Willy's, it's like I like practical effects. I think it's tactile, and you can feel it and touch it. It's old school. It just feels good. So having that and then augment it with VFX, even with the arm coming out of Meg's mouth, we had a model, we had a prop, and then we had a kind of a Derek wore one of the arms, okay, but then we also scanned it for the VFX, and Entropic did that. But to get us there, we needed that practical, we needed that arm built, it wasn't just coming out of thin air. So I was very concerned about the VFX, because this movie is a serious film. It takes itself seriously. And if you don't have good effects, if it's cheeseball VFX or something, we're done. We've shot ourselves in the foot. So really concentrated on less is more. I'd rather have less visual effects, but have them be really good than just try to, a lot of these movies now, it's like they feel like cutscenes from video games. They just throw the CGI on, and it's like, you know what I mean? It just feels cheap and just not emotionally connected, whereas you do physical, practical effects, it just feels real because it is real.
Talk about scouting the location of the house that I guess it's Sarah Gray's character's parents' house.
Yeah.
Where is that?
So we shot the movie in Savannah, and what was cool is the neighborhood, we couldn't have a lot of company moves. It was a lower budget movie in 18 days. And so the idea was try to get everything together. So we had the house, which was on the street that a lot of the crew was staying at. So it was at the end of the street. And across the next street, we did the lawyer office there. We had the hospital there. That was an old church. We made the hospital and the burn ward, all that stuff. So we could just walk across and get that stuff done. So it was very close in the vicinity. And the day that we did the finale, that was like 10 pages I had to shoot that day. And so the opening, the opening of that day, we went to the library and shot that. That was a location move about 30 to 45 minutes away. Then we had to go back, and then we did the office, the whole stuff with the lawyer and Beth and her dad. And then we had to go and then do all the hospital stuff with Beth and the nurse and all that. And then the finale. And so all of that was in one day. Crazy, right?
Wow.
But we could pull it off because the locations were right next to each other, except for the library.
Right. And then by having the house built inside of the gym, you could control the elements.
Yes.
So that probably helped out a lot too.
I was so happy that we could build the cabin, because I just was like, I didn't want to be stuck into a little small house and I can't really put the camera anywhere and I'm shooting into a corner, and so that allowed me to really move the camera a lot and be stylish and open it up. And we had these wide lenses, so everything looked really big and wide. And so it's like made the cabin look a lot bigger than it really was, and that was kind of the look of the movie, with this just beautiful wide lens look to it, again, old school in the 70s,
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, it really is something you got to see on the big screen, which you got a handful of premieres going on the 14th when it comes out. What's your Friday going to look like the 14th?
I'm going to be freaking out, right? Oh my God, just like this. No, the movie's going to be in some theaters, which is great. And then I think it's on Apple and Amazon and all that fun stuff. And I think we're going to a film festival, I think the week after or 2 weeks later or something. But yeah, I mean, it's getting played. It's coming out. And for a little horror movie, that we did and stuff, I'm very happy with the amount of attention that's getting, and people are digging it. Like you guys, you watched it twice. I mean, that's just awesome for me as a film geek. That's just like, I love that. Right, you watched the movie twice. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just finished it. So it's like, it's out there now, and hopefully people are going to like it. The horror is such a great genre, right? Because you can do so many things with it, and it doesn't feel the same. You can do a splatter horror or more psychological horror or slasher horror, or all kinds. You can mix and match, and it's what's so much fun about the genre, right? That even though we've seen it, we haven't, because every movie can be a little different, and it's just you can follow the tropes in horror, and then you can kind of veer away from it. I hear Barbarian's supposed to be incredible, and I hear that there's a thing that's like a sharp left turn, like through half the movie or something, and it's really cool to do things like that. Whereas like more like romantic comedies or other genres, you kind of have to stick to the formula a little more. With horror, you can veer away, which is kind of fun.
And the other thing is, when it comes out on DVD, or even like you said, it'll be on Amazon or whatever. Every fall, people will be checking it out, and new people will find it, and other people will find new things that they didn't see the first time, like we did.
And I'm so happy that it's coming out around October, because I just think it's the perfect time for this movie,
Definitely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it really, again, if you have the opportunity to see it on the big screen, but even still, if you're getting on streaming or whatever, I mean, again, the composition, the shots, Kevin, are just so good, man. You got such a good eye. I got to give a shout out. Is it Kim Kendall?
Yes.
I don't want to give it away, but I got to say her performance in this film, let's just say,
he's talked about that for 2 days.
Yeah. And you're following her on Instagram, and it's just like, whoa, like that's, but the beginning, real quick, can you say a little bit more about working with Meg? Because, right from the jump, you're like, okay, I got to strap in. This is going to be a wild ride. And was that early in the shooting, the work with her?
It's interesting because there was a time where we were maybe not going to work out, and I was like, no, we got to have Meg. So I was trying to move heaven and earth for the schedule.
Yeah.
And she didn't start out the first week. So she came in a little later, I think the following week. And that opening scene, guys, in terms of the interior of the cabin with that was all in one day. I had to shoot, I was 7 some pages. I mean, that was crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
And Meg was just so awesome. I mean, when she goes for it, she does. And she when she drank that blood, I mean, that was a prop. The prop master, Manlin, was like, oh my God, that's like dishwater soap, eye. Meg went for it. And the thing about Meg is she gets kind of like hypnotized in these roles. And then she tells me this, and she's like, but when it's done, it's over. She doesn't remember it. It's like just a blur, like a blank slate. She doesn't remember it, doesn't know about it. So she just gets in that mode. You could feel it, right? Like, I love Star Wars, especially old vintage Star Wars. So I was like, she was channeling some Chancellor Palpatine, man, some Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, that's a good one.
Palpatine. Yeah, it's just Palpatine. She was going full on Palpatine.
Yeah, it was like Sith Ambrose,
Ambrose, dude, that was so cool.
It was so good. Yeah, there's a sequel right there, man.
There you go, man. I love it.
Listen, it's so gracious of you to come back on the show. We hope that we can get you back on when this next project will it be Oak? Will that be the next one coming?
Yeah. I'm finishing that up now. So for sure, guys. I love you guys. I want to come back.
Listen, man, this is I seriously, I think you've got like your own cult classic on your hands here with this film. So The Accursed, October 14th. We just thrilled to have you back, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
Kevin, take care. We'll see you soon, and congrats. Right. Good luck with the film.
Okay, thank you. Happy Halloween. Have a happy Halloween.
Yeah.
All right,
back at you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.